Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday, 22nd of June. So, starting off looking at the news due out today, well, we've already had the Reserve Bank of Australia Governor Lowe speaking, who's suggesting they should keep the ammunition they've got in their armoury before. In other words, they're not going to do any cuts to interest rates or anything at the moment. Would like to see interest rates, the Aussie dollar weaker than where it's sitting at the moment, but aside of that, nothing else there. There's nothing else really today in terms of key news. Some very low level numbers coming through. 4 o'clock we've got the Bank of Canada Governor speaking. That might create a bit of volatility around the Canadian dollar around about 4 o'clock. I shan't be trading it at that time of the evening, but due to speak about monetary policy in context of COVID-19. So audience questions expected. May get volatility later in the day from that, but for most of the day we're left to our own technical devices, and let's have a look at the technicals on that case. And starting off with the euro dollar, well, you see these little greenness at the moment is maybe a growth, the early signs of a bit of growth. Last week we saw the currencies mostly sold off, and the dollar taking over again. This morning so far we've just, as I say, seen the green shoots here. It could be running up towards its weekly pivot. Obviously I would like to judge this better after 8 o'clock in terms of what's going to happen here. We often see these sort of early morning moves only for it to pitch over. As we sit here at the moment though, well, could end up with a bit of a bullish engulfing looking bar, which is, I mean, if it does break that 60-minute 50, well, could be on for that weekly pivot. Could be a draw. Do I really trust this movement? Not really. As I said, I will wait post 8 o'clock and see what happens. I'm still really looking to see if we get further downside on some of these markets. It certainly started that trend off the bigger time frames. We've got lower highs, lower lows through most of these time frames, the 60 included. You look at it in this time frame, it does look a bit soft still. Momentum still seems to be okay. Steady but weakish, but steady, but at the moment the trend's to the downside, and at this stage I'm really looking to sell into any rallies. Okay, cable, big time frame, similar picture here, lower high on the dailies there. It was confirmed early last week actually. Since then, well, we're just getting a bit of a bounce today. And again, looking 4 hourly wise, still lower high, that big lower high you can see from another one on Friday was sort of confirmed through there. Again, if it pitches up towards these weekly pivots, great. It won't change things too much. And again, it becomes more bullish if it gets past that 60-minute 50. But for me, really looking post 8 o'clock to see if we have a reaction of these 60-50s on the euro and the pound. So that's where we stand there. Dollar yen's been a difficult old one, and it, as an individual trade against the dollar against the yen, it's been chopping for large periods, and it's sort of pretty much been doing that. It did it again towards the end of last week, did it in the earlier part of the week, finally broke down. We'll see. This might do just that again, but oddly it's pushing up at the moment, the same as the pound and the euro. Maybe that's risk back on, and we're sort of moving towards that sort of angle. But as I said, I'll judge this better post 8 o'clock. For now, if it pushes back towards that weekly pivot, it becomes potentially a sell area where it's running back into those prior highs. Again, we could be drawing trend lines across the lows, and we're looking at this, but it's so choppy and not really going too far. I would stand aside on that one. Aussie dollar. So the Aussies had a little bit of a lift from the conversations and overnight there. Comments coming through from the Governor Lowe. Lower highs still in this sort of 4 hourly picture overall. As I say, got a bit of a bid kicking in here, may even push on for some more. I'm personally again still really looking to see if it breaks to the downside in this trend it's in. A break above that 200 may change things a little bit more significantly. Canadian dollar, I can get there. There we go. The Canadian dollar then. Seeing a little bit of strength coming through here. The Canadian dollar is a bit like the yen in the sense that it's barely moved really. It's very solid, barely moving. Marginal lower highs maybe coming through, lower higher lows even, not higher low, well, higher highs possibly as well. It's a bit clearer on this 60-minute. It is range trading at the moment, and well, pushing down alongside the pound, the euro. It's converted, so it's fine. Could continue through. Again, it's not one that I really trust in these markets. I shall stand aside of that, but has done okay here. Oil picked up on Friday, carried on. It surprised me there really, but I was hoping for a bit more of a retrace, and I'm just waiting for the next retrace to be sort of buying into. At the moment, it's pushed up back up to that $40 area, and well, it's just stifled a little bit as we look at it on this sort of 60-minute time frame. It's sort of lower high, higher low, so it's just consolidating here as it stands. Any sort of breakdown, well, any decent retrace, and I'm looking to buy it, so just patience there. S&Ps, let's have a look at the S&Ps. S&Ps again catching the bid here at the moment this morning. Say sort of risk on sort of situation first thing, but the S&Ps themselves have run into their 4-hourly 50 to 8. There's quite a bit of resistance sitting around there at this stage. They sort of still remains bearish, and as I said, so much changes post 8 o'clock when we get into the true European session here. So a break of that 60-minute 21, the previous highs there may see it pushing up further, and it confirms a higher low at that stage on this 60-minute, and maybe it has got some more legs, but it's not far before it runs into sort of key resistance into the 200, the 34, the 50, all bunched up there together. So we'll see if that gets up there, how it reacts. A break of that, well then there's obviously more bullishness in this market, and it may be a sign of things to come for a day or two. But you can see how range bound it was last week. Over the last few days there, flat periods, really unclear which way this market's going from that. Right, I wish you a great day. Shall be back in the morning. Bye for now.